The medical marijuana dispensary behind me has not been open to patients yet, but has been at the center of debate for over a year. Northwestern University officials have launched an investigation after receiving anonymous reports of possible sexual assault. The Jewish Community Center behind me is the most recent victim of anti-Semitic attacks after receiving anonymous bomb threats. It was here in the 6300 block of North Winthrop where a Loyola student pushed her perpetrator off of his bike. These residents are demanding to know what options they have left. Others are worried what is being called the largest beer garden in the Midwest. Self-defense has become so important when you're a commuter in the city. It's a sunny day here at Daly Plaza and the farmers market is in full swing. It's a somber crowd here behind me at the Hillary for Illinois campaign watch party. Cubs fans from all over are coming out to Wrigley Field to not only show their support. Northwestern University in Evanston is the latest college campus facing sexual assault allegations, and students are speaking up.
They told me they would do something about it. It's 7 months later.
On January 21st, the university police there received a formal complaint from an anonymous source claiming that 4 female students may have been given a date rape drug and 2 may have been sexually assaulted at 2 different fraternities. In the formal complaint, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, or SAE, is named as at least one of the fraternities involved. Northwestern University officials have launched an investigation after receiving anonymous reports of possible sexual assault at a Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity event. Their headquarters here on campus has released a statement saying, quote, sexual assault by anyone, fraternity brother or not, is unacceptable. Amanda O'Daz is a senior at Northwestern and is the Outreach Chair for Sexual Health and Assault Peer Educators, or SHAPE, and is one of the hundreds of students who turned out for a rally outside of SAE on February 10th.
We know there's a problem. When I came in as a freshman, and the first thing I heard about SAE was that the letter stood for sexual assault expected, and freshmen who are here right now hear that same thing.
Christina Salento is a senior at Northwestern and the president of the Student Government Association, which called for the suspension of SAE and the other unnamed fraternity in the formal complaint.
We wanted to let students know, particularly survivors on campus, that we as a student government believe them.
In 2015, the largest survey into sexual assaults on college campuses was conducted by the Association of American Universities, or AAU. 23% of those female students said they had experienced some form of unwanted sexual assault. 11% of those students said the assault involved unwanted penetration or oral sex. At Northwestern, many feel this problem goes beyond the fraternities that were accused. Now, both Greeks and non-Greeks are demanding solutions. Northwestern's Interfraternity Council has suspended all social activities at fraternities until further notice. Good Day to Paul reached out to Northwestern administration, but officials did not comment. In the meantime, students remain concerned.
This happens everywhere. Sexual assault happens at every single university.
Although Northwestern officials and colleges across the nation continue to investigate these accusations, students say that's just not enough to deal with this problem. For Good Day to Paul, I'm Kelley Bowles. It is only September, and so far, Chicago has seen over 500 homicides this year and more than 3,000 shootings. Although DePaul students rarely experience shootings on campus, some go home to a different story. Kari Thornton graduated from DePaul last June and has lived in Humboldt Park on the west side since he was 8 years old. For Thornton, seeing crime is nothing new.
A typical day for me, honestly, is just, gangbangs and drug dealers, really.
Thornton says that although crime has always been in his neighborhood, lately it seems out of control. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson continues to voice his frustration over violence that only seems to be escalating.
I'm so sick of every weekend talking about the murders that happen in the streets.
Recently, Mayor Rahm Emanuel proposed hiring 500 new police officers. But for some, it's less about a larger police presence and more about the training they receive. Robert Stokes, director of DePaul's School of Public Service, says it's not necessarily about hiring more officers, but about catching and prosecuting the criminals.
If you can have more detectives that can close a case, that can make an arrest, that can incarcerate the person who did the crime, you collect the evidence necessary to incarcerate that person, society's better off.
But for now, violence continues to rack inner-city neighborhoods, and residents like Thornton are often the victims.
When I was 13, I was coming from the Boys and Girls Club, my neighborhood Boys and Girls Club, and I was jumped by a gang because they thought I was in a different gang. And of course I was, and it was 6 guys, and this lady who happened to be on her porch that night, she saved my life.
And even though crime is down in Thornton's West Side neighborhood, the violence is still hitting close to home.
One of my good friends was just shot recently, and his mother, man, having to see her go through that, it broke me down.
While a student at DePaul, Thornton looked at campus as a safe space. He's now hoping that someday he can feel the same way at home. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Kelley Bowles. It's an election that shocked the nation time and time again, and for some, the results come as the biggest shock of all. It's a somber crowd here behind me at the Hillary for Illinois campaign watch party, where supporters walked in thinking that there was a sure win and maybe even an early night, but now they can't believe their eyes. And many fear a Trump presidency.
For me to have any type of respect towards him and also to be able to live in a situation like that, it's unfathomable to me.
DePaul political science professor Wayne Stager says the Trump presidency may mean big changes in Congress.
Republicans in Congress are going to take this as a go forward to push their own agenda, which will be quite conservative.
Paul Lisnick, a WGN political analyst, has been following the election closely since the beginning.
It'll be interesting to see whether he is finally able to move beyond the success of Trump Industries and focus in on the problems of the world.
Although Clinton supporters remained hopeful until the very end, many are now nervous about what lies ahead.
I just can't believe people voted for him. I mean, it just really makes you think that, we still have a long way to go as a country,
Some point to social media as a big factor in Trump's victory.
Although it's not so much what he's saying on camera as much as what he's doing through social media that gets picked up and talked about.
Still, many agree this was an election unlike any other. But many, including former Chicago mayoral candidate Chuy Garcia, just want to see unity moving forward.
The right messages need to be made from the beginning, from the acceptance speech of our next president, in order to create the conditions for America to feel that it is moving in a common path that is good for the country.
Now, a divided country will just have to wait and see what the new president has in store. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Kelley Bowles. It's traumatized Jewish residents nationwide. Since the start of this year, at least 98 incidents against Jewish community centers, or JCCs, have been reported in 81 different locations across 31 states. Along with threats, several Jewish cemeteries have been vandalized, with damage to tombstones by the hundreds, the largest attacks in St. Louis, Missouri, and Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Jewish communities are looking for answers. With mounting pressure from Jewish Americans calling for action, President Trump recognized the issue in his address to Congress.
While we may be a nation divided on policies, we are a country that stands united in condemning hate and evil in all of its very ugly forms.
Despite President Trump's remarks, the threats have continued, some of them hitting close to home. The Jewish Community Center behind me is the most recent victim of anti-Semitic attacks after receiving anonymous bomb threats. This community center is just one of hundreds being affected by these disturbing incidents. Here at DePaul, Junior Alex Glaser is a member of the Jewish Life Center and says safety is the main concern.
You want to make sure that you're safe, and you want to make sure that if the leader of the nation is making those kind of promises, that he takes action upon that.
JCC CEO Mark Shapiro released a statement after the most recent wave of attacks.
Each of these incidents, while frustrating and very disappointing, calls us to review our operations and our response.
Rabbi Mendy Ben-Hiyun is the director of Chabad DePaul, a synagogue that serves as a branch of the Jewish Life Center on campus.
The Jewish people, we're confident that we can overcome this. We've overcome thousands of years of oppression.
While the country continues to search for a solution to the rash of hate and anti-Semitism, many in the Jewish community stay hopeful and are confident they'll be able to put these incidents too in the past. For Good Day DePaul, I'm Kelley Bowles. We're all still reliving it. The 10th inning suspense, the historical win, the cheers, and the tears. And many Cubs fans have found a unique way to show support for those fans who couldn't be here to see it all.
I wrote it for my dad. He's a Cubs fan, and I wish he was here to watch this with us, but I know everyone's watching from above.
If you're one of the millions of Cubs fans who passed by Wrigley Field recently, you may have noticed some of the colorful walls of the ballpark. What started as a few messages and well wishes quickly spread into an idea that's brought Cubs fans together from all over.
I live in Nashville, Tennessee, but born and raised in Chicago, and wouldn't miss this for anything.
Cubs fans from all over are coming out to Wrigley Field to not only show their support, but to show the support of their loved ones who couldn't be here to witness history. Andrew Garcia, a DePaul junior, is a lifelong Cubs fan who wanted his loved ones to be part of the celebration.
I brought this picture of my grandparents, and I held it up during the entire ninth inning of that game, just because I thought, that it also was pretty important because they got married after my grandpa returned from World War II in 1945, first pennant since '45.
Garcia is one of the many fans who took the time to write on the walls of Wrigley.
I found a piece of chalk and I thought, hey, why not, give my family their time up here as well. They kind of deserve it too.
Even the small Cubs fans are excited to be cheering on their favorite team.
Go, Cubs, go! Go, Cubs, go! Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubs are going to win today.
For Garcia, being a diehard fan has finally paid off, and the years of hope are finally worth it.
It may not be 108 years, but it certainly builds up and almost feels like the weight of 108 years, and it just gone in an instant, all at once. Nothing else ever mattered ever again.
For Good Day DePaul, I'm Kelley Bowles.